All right, here we go. Lab number 6. We're going to test OSB, which is a product looks like this. Okay, it's OSB, smooth on both sides. It's made from sawdust. It has particle sizes are relatively small on it. That's the first one we're going to test. Next, we're going to test OSB. It stands for Oriented Strand Board. Again, the strands have been oriented one direction, so it has layers in it, just like plywood has. So they rake the strands one direction, and then the next layer they'll rake them the other way. So they're not completely oriented, but they do have some orientation to them. Okay? And then the third wood we're going to do is plywood. Plywood, and that is, these are regular full sheet, the ones I have here are full sheet or peeled logs, where it's a full sheet of plywood the full length. In this case, there's four layers in there, and it's 5/8 plywood. Okay. Advantage of plywood, strong, it's oriented just like the oriented strand board is, and of course we would be doing a video when the train's going by, because that would be just like in class. All right, so the setup is that we're going to take and use our falling dart test here, and we have marks on it set up at 1/2 foot, 1 foot, 1.5 feet, and so forth, all the way up to 9.5 feet. We're gonna let the train go by here, and that way you can feel like you're right in lab. All right, so I'm gonna run the rope. Usually I get a volunteer to run the rope, but since I'm here by myself, I guess I'm the volunteer. So we're gonna start out, we're gonna go 1/2 foot to begin with, then we'll go 1 foot, and then we may jump and not do every single 1/2 foot as we go. So I'm gonna pull it up till I see that white stripe right through there. I think you can see that on the camera, barely. So we're gonna get that white stripe showing right there. And then I'm going to let the rope slip in my hands like that. And then we're going to look at the sample. So we're going to kind of put it on camera right here the best I can. And we can see I can't feel any dent and I can't see any dent. Okay? So it didn't have any effect on there. Okay? So normally we would calculate that on the weight of our dart here is 5 pounds. And we were 1/2 foot high, so we'd calculate that at 2.5 foot-pounds. Okay, so 2.5 foot-pounds of load. Now I'm going to slide it over a little ways, and we're going to do 1 foot. So we're going to line that up, hopefully, till I see the white mark right there. So the 1 foot. I'm going to let it fall like that, and then we're going to see if we get a dent. Okay. Now I can see, I don't know whether you can see on the camera or not, there is a slightest dent right there. So we have a dent on it, we flip it over, no damage to the backside. So nothing's penetrated to the backside yet, okay? And so that would be 5 foot-pounds of energy that we struck that board with, and no significant damage other than a slight dent, okay? So now we're going to jump up, and we're going to jump up to 2 feet. Right there. We got 2 feet. Let her fall. And now we can see that there is significant damage on the front side, so that we got a dent, plus it's slightly cracked. If we look on the back side, it is actually cracked right here and tending to separate a little bit, okay? Tends to separate a little bit. So there was damage to it. Again, that would be 2 feet times our 5 pound-foot weight. That would be 10 foot-pounds of energy that has struck that. Okay. Toss that in there. We're going to go to 3. We're going to go up to 3. 3 would be times 5 would be 15 foot-pounds of energy. So I'm going to come back up here and see if I can find that white stripe. Okay, I probably can't see that because the camera's too far away. I'm gonna drop it. And now at 15 pounds, we can see that definitely a dent in there. Hopefully that camera's focusing well enough. You can see that dent in there, and you can see it's starting to break through on the back side here. Okay, starting to break through on the back side, so definitely damaged. We're gonna go on up until we actually punch clear through it, okay? So we're gonna take it on up until we punch clear through it. I'm gonna recenter my camera since I tend to knock it off focus. So we're gonna go up, we were at 3, we're gonna go to 4. Right there. Okay. 4, definitely a nice hole in there, punched it pretty good. And if we see on the back, it's starting to split out right there, as we can see as we move that around. Okay, now, the particle size, not a very large particle size here, so we can see we're not distributing that load, that impact load is not getting distributed very far out to on the piece of wood. Remember, our floor joists are going to be anywhere between 16 inches and 12 inches, somewhere in that range apart. That means the load needs to be distributed over about 6 to 9 inches. We're nowhere near that kind of distribution on here, okay? All right, grab another one. We'll go on up to 5, see what happens at 5. Okay, got her lined up on 5 there. Almost punched through, not quite. So again, a little bit deeper than we had on 4, and definitely a little bit more breakout on the back side. Okay. We're gonna go up to 6. There. Okay. And it totally destroyed it. Okay. Complete break. Try another one. My camera keeps moving on me. If that's vibration. Let's get one that looks like it's a little newer. Go ahead and go to 7 here. There we go. Okay. 7. We can see that it actually punched a hole through there, and you can see it did not distribute the load very far. Okay. So, we used to use a particle board, actually developed in Germany in the 40s. Some Germans sitting around a sawmill had to get rid of the waste, figured out how to make it. We did allow it for flooring in the 60s and so forth. But when we started getting punched through or failure, they made us double it up. So we can actually put 2 sheets on here if we wanted to try that. And we can run it up here. This time we're going to run it up to about 10. So we're going to actually pull it a little ways so it's almost out. And you can see even with 2 sheets on there, it actually damaged both of them. Of course, they weren't nailed or glued, but it definitely cracked both of those sheets there, even with doubling it up, okay? So we can kind of see where particle board falls. Now we're going to do OSB, oriented strand board. Oriented strand board, again, as I showed you earlier, it actually has layers here. You can see the layers, and they get raked so that there is an orientation. So the long fibers tend to go one direction on this layer. The layer beneath, they'll rake them so they go the other way, okay? We're going to use the smooth side just because the smooth side will be easier to tell whether we've dented it or not. Okay? Just check my cameras, make sure they're still somewhat lined up. All right, so now we're going to pull it up. We're going to just do our 5, which will be 2.5 pounds of force. Boom, and We can feel it right here. Again, no damage, okay? We haven't damaged it at all, haven't done anything to it yet, okay? We'll flip it around. We're gonna go to the 1-inch. Let her fall. And yeah, the ever slightest, maybe a slight dent. Very difficult to feel. Again, no damage on the backside at all. So we're going to go higher. Okay. Let's go on up to, in this case, we're going to go up to 2. Right there, see our white mark. Okay. All right, and a slight dent. Now we can actually feel the dent. There is a slight dent right there. You guys can't see it on camera, but I can feel it slightly. We turn it over, no damage to the backside. Okay, and this camera just wants to keep kinking over on me. Should screw it down, right? All right, we're gonna flip this one around, and we're gonna go up to 4, okay? We're gonna jump up to 4, right there, and we're going to let it go. That will be 20 foot-pounds of energy, 4 times the 5, and we can see there's a nice dent there, but no damage. Well, there actually is just barely starting to peel here. So we can see one of the strands, oriented strands, is actually just cracked slightly. So it did transfer some damage from the front, transmitted it all the way through, okay? But not near like the particle board. We're gonna grab another one, and we're gonna go up to 6 this time, okay? All right, right there is 6. And so now we can see definitely a nice dent on the front, and we can see damage on the back. These are starting to peel or come loose. It's nowhere completely destroyed like the particle board was. Is transmitting the load a little further. So we're going to keep going. We're going to go up to 8. Trying to find where I'm at is always fun. 8, 7.5. Right there's 8. All right. So definitely stronger than particle board was. You can see that it's definitely spreading the load a lot further than we got with the particle board. Pretty good sized dent in the front. Okay. We're going to keep going up to 10 now. In order to get 10, our thing only goes to 9.5, if you can see that from the one camera. You can read that. We're going to actually pull this so that it's almost out, about halfway out. That's how we're going to get about 10 at it. Other than I stepped on the rope. All right, had to go upstairs and actually get the rope untangled because I accidentally stepped on it. We messed that one up. So we'll grab another one. Try this again without stepping on the rope. There we go. Okay, and so 10 times 5, about 50 foot-pounds of energy. And it punched a nice clean hole through that. We can definitely see it spreading the load a little further. Nice clean hole through there. All right, so our last one we're going to do is plywood. Again, most of you think plywood is definitely stronger than OSB or particle board, right? At least that's what we're assuming. Well, let's find out. We're going to put this in here, and we're going to start out at our 0.5. Right there, and we're going to tap. Okay? Now, if I feel that, guess what? There's already a dent in there. Okay? Did my OSB or my particle board dent at 0.5 or 2.5 foot-pounds? No, they didn't. Well, why? Why did the plywood supposed to be stronger, right? Why did it dent at 2.5 instead of the 5 or the 10 like the OSB did? Or the particle board? Well, what makes the plywood different from the OSB and the particle board? Well, first of all, the particle board, what is on this outer surface? It not only contains wood, but it also contains glue, okay? And so the glue makes for a much more harder surface on the very outer side. Same way with the OSB, there's glue on this outer surface, and so the wood doesn't tend to dent because of the glue that's involved with it, okay? On our plywood, there's no glue. We don't get to glue until we get in between the layers right here, okay? So this 1/8 of an inch right there, or 1/16 of an inch, whatever that is just real wood. So how soft or how easily this is dented depends on the type of wood, okay? So if you had an oak veneer, it wouldn't dent, or a mahogany veneer, wouldn't dent like a soft pine veneer, okay? So this is just cheap sheathing, just a pine-based sheathing on here, plywood, and so it dented fairly easy, okay? All right, we're going to take this on up. In this case, we're going to go by 2s, so we're going to go up to 2 to start with. Then we're going to go 2, 4, 6, and so forth. Okay, so we're going to start at 2. Boom. And we can see that we still have a dent in the very front. It's a real small dent. I don't know if you can see that very well, but it's a small dent, but no damage to the back side at all. None to speak of. Okay. We're going to jump on up to 4. 4. Which should be about 20, right there's 4, it's going to be about 20 foot-pounds of energy. Okay, now the plywood, little bit more dent, because now we're actually denting that top layer, probably start to dent the layer below it, but no damage to the back side. Don't feel any, there's no structural damage that I can feel on there, nice and smooth, okay? And so it handles way more load than either our particle board or OSB would until we actually got damage. Now let's go to 6, which would be about 30 foot-pounds of energy. 5.5, 6, right there. As long as I don't step on the rope. You can definitely hear much more impact there. Again, we got a pretty good dent in there. Look on the back side and just barely splinter. Just a slight crack right there, a little splinter right there. But significantly stronger. It's definitely going to spread that load out closer to our floor joists below it. Okay. All right, now we're going to do 8. Come up here, we're going to do 8, assuming I can find it. Assuming I'm not stepping on the rope. There's that. 6.5. 7. 7.5. 8, right there. All right. So 8 times 5, about 40 foot-pounds. Dent's about the same size on the front, about the same size, but you can see we're starting to split out there, assuming you can see that. Yeah, not too bad. We'll see when I rewatch this how good it is, but anyway, so definitely hold that load fairly well. By no means are we complete failure. Okay. Now we're going to go again where we pull it almost all the way out. I'm going to try to get about 10 foot-pounds or 10 feet, about 50 foot-pounds of energy. All right. And we can see on the front side, it looks like it started to crack it slightly, a little bit, and we got the plywood, but you can see it's definitely spreading the load the full width of the piece of plywood there, okay? Definitely spreading the load the full width, okay? So, plywood's definitely stronger, okay? But what's the problem with plywood? Why don't we just use plywood? Well, of course, it's the cost, okay? So what does it cost? Well, typically, OSB sheathing, probably $7 to $13 a sheet, depending on the current sale, what you find. Our particle board used to be cheaper, but it's actually gone up a little bit, probably a little bit more, probably in the $10 to $15 range per sheet. Our plywood is almost double that. Probably a piece of 5/8 plywood, probably gonna pay about $22 to $25 a sheet, somewhere in that range, okay? So, cost. We're looking for the most economical solution that will hold the load we're interested in, okay? Yes, plywood will hold more load, but will OSB hold enough load to satisfy us? It will, okay? All right, so we'll leave it at that, and we're going to end this video right here, okay? There are some problems that you're going to do on your own. There is a conversion factor to go from square inches to square feet. So remember, 144 square inches in a square foot. So make sure you do your unit calculation correctly when you're doing the problems, working on the problems. All right, I'm going to end this right here. I hope you guys are all staying safe.